Anacondas series, a monster-themed thriller disaster movie, is definitely a masterpiece in film history. The atmosphere of a lurking monster unbeknownst to the characters is spine-chilling. Today, I bring you Anacondas, The Hunt for the Blood Orchid. A pharmaceutical company accidentally brings back a sample from the primeval jungle, discovering an immortal flower named the Blood Orchid. Research indicates it can break cellular limits, thus extending human life. However, the blood orchid has a dormant period of 7 years and blooms for only 6 months. According to calculations, only a week remains before the end of its blooming period. The company immediately dispatches a team to Borneo, where the flower was discovered. They encounter the rainy season, causing water levels to rise, making no one willing to venture into the jungle at this time. Fortunately, they find Bill, a captain willing to risk his life for the right price. The team sets off successfully, unaware that their deadly journey has just begun. One night, while everyone was dining, Bill's pet monkey, tempted by a banana but shooed away by Bill, climbs to the top of the boat. It spots wild fruits on a passing branch and climbs the tree to pick them. However, after grabbing the fruit, the monkey realizes the boat has drifted away and chases after it along the shore, only to stop abruptly due to a sense of impending danger. The next moment, the danger approaches rapidly, terrifying the monkey, which scrambles to hide inside a hollow tree trunk. However, the creature follows closely. Everyone on the boat hears a terrible cry. Bill calmly explains that something has been eaten. He discovers the next day that the monkey has disappeared. Meanwhile, Gale is using a satellite phone but accidentally falls into the water. They stop the boat and prepare to pull Gale up with a long pole, unaware that the smell of blood from Gale's freshly cut arm has attracted a crocodile to pounce from the sidelines. Bill immediately jumps into the water. Just as he pushes Gale back to the boat, the crocodile attacks again from behind. Bill smartly used debris to block the crocodile, then got on its back and wrestled with the crocodile. Tran quickly grabs a shotgun to help, but the unstable movement makes it hard to aim. Luckily, Bill bravely defeats the crocodile with only a dagger, narrowly escaping the crisis. But gradually sailed away. They did not see the floating body was dragged into the water by something. As everyone reflects on the recent scare, Gale is startled again by the monkey's return. The little monkey, who had escaped death, was also so frightened that he kept hissing but could not speak of the horror he had seen. And their crisis is far from over. Due to incessant rain, the water level rose sharply, making the main river channel difficult to navigate. Bill suggests taking a tributary that crosses a smaller river, but it will take an extra 2 days. However, Jack objected to the plan, fearing the blood orchid might enter its dormant phase at any time and not wanting to delay the journey further. Jack decided to force their way through, fearing opposition from the others. Jack offered to pay Bill extra to get through, and they reached an agreement in private. But soon, trouble struck again. A strange noise came from the back of the boat, and they discovered the rudder was stuck and unmovable. Bill quickly checked and found that the engine was damaged due to the excessive debris in the water. Since they couldn't turn, they missed the fork in the river. Soon, a loud roar approached, and they faced a huge waterfall. They were getting closer and closer to the cliffs, so they had to hold onto the railings and let fate take its course. The next second, the boat plunged down the waterfall amid screams. Fortunately, everyone was prepared, and there were no casualties. They all surfaced and gradually swam to shore, unaware of how close to death they had been. Everyone started to blame Bill, but it was futile at this point. Bill decided to try and salvage the situation by calling his friend John to pick them up upstream. They only needed to cross the jungle to reach the meeting point by evening. After discussing, everyone agreed to his plan. Bill quickly called his friend John, who agreed and put the phone in a box containing a handgun. They then set off into the mysterious primeval jungle. Soon they came upon a depression filled with water. In order to reach their destination as quickly as possible, they had to wade through the water. However, the climbing monkey began to screech in fear.
Hey, knock it off.
Unbeknownst to them, a python was lurking and circling around them. Soon, Cole felt something brush against his leg, startling everyone. Bill urged everyone to quickly move through the area. Ben, walking at the back, jokingly scared Gale, but the next second, he was dragged into the water by the python. Gale turned around, asking Ben to stop joking, but when Ben didn't surface, she realized something was wrong and started shouting. The others stopped and looked back. The next second, they saw Ben struggling to surface and glide through the water. Then, they saw the full view of the python. They were all terrified by the enormous creature, screaming and quickly fleeing the area. They were still shaken even after escaping to a far distance. Bill hurriedly reassured them, saying that pythons have their own territories, and such a large one would definitely have a vast area. It's unlikely they would encounter another snake within several kilometers, which should be safe enough to reach the boat pickup location. Gordon questioned if the python wouldn't chase them, despite there being only one.
He'll be sleeping it off for a while. A meal like that, it takes him weeks to digest.
It was a harsh statement, but it finally calmed everyone down. Gale announced that they would end the expedition and return as soon as they boarded the boat. However, Jack strongly opposed this. He argued that they had come so far and giving up now would mean waiting another 7 years. The team was immediately divided. Sam suggested that they should make a decision after reaching the boat, as they were not yet completely out of danger. Bill also felt guilty, blaming his greed for forcing the risky journey. Sam then learned about Jack and Bill's private deal. Meanwhile, Gordon, while trekking through the jungle, suddenly noticed something on Cole's neck. Cole, upon touching it, discovered a leech and panicked. Hearing the commotion, Bill quickly came over and advised against pulling the leech off due to its suction. He used a lighter to burn the leech, which then fell off automatically. But when Bill lifted Cole's shirt, he found Cole's back covered in leeches, startling everyone to check their own bodies. As Gordon was about to put his shoes back on, Tran stopped him and tapped the shoe, knocking out a bright spider. A bite from this spider could cause immediate paralysis. When Tran was about to kill the spider, Jack captured it in a bottle, seeing a business opportunity in this rare species. Meanwhile, John was driving the boat to the destination when it suddenly got hit by something. He stopped and looked into the water. Seeing the terrifying python, John turned to grab his gun, but the python didn't give him a chance and bit him, dragging him into the water. In the struggle, John accidentally moved the steering wheel and gear, causing the boat to crash uncontrollably towards the shore. After seeing the explosion, Bill hurried to the scene but only found wreckage. They had to search for usable supplies again. Tran found food scraps and bones on the ground, reminding him of a primitive tribe living nearby. He suggested they could borrow a boat from them. The group continued towards their destination. Not long after leading the way, Bill hacked through the underbrush and discovered a corpse, spat out by a giant python. Experienced Bill immediately deduced bad news. Snakes are vulnerable during digestion and only regurgitate their food when threatened. Then he remembered that this is the mating season for pythons. The fact that such a large python felt threatened means there could be many pythons of similar size converging from all directions. Knowing the danger, they hurriedly quickened their pace and finally reached the village before nightfall. They found a python with its belly cut open lying in the open area, but the village was deserted, and all boats were gone. It was clear the tribe had evacuated earlier upon learning of the danger. Bill then proposed another plan, to dismantle the thatched huts in the village and use their frames to build a bamboo raft. While everyone was busily constructing the raft, Jack discovered a totem of pythons swallowing flowers in the village, leading him to realize why the pythons were so large and indirectly confirming the efficacy of the Blood Orchid. This revelation excited Jack. However, after so many ordeals, the remaining team members were disinterested in the orchid and only wanted to escape the terror. They quickly finished the bamboo raft. At this moment, Gordon discovered John's box, with a satellite phone, in Jack's bag. Realizing Jack had the means to call for help all along, Jack tried to explain, but Gordon, refusing to listen, prepared to make a call for help. Jack saw that persuasion was futile, and in a fit of desperation he opened the bottle and threw the spider at him. Gordon was bitten and quickly paralyzed, collapsing to the ground, while Jack, ignoring him, gathered his things to leave. Sam looked at Jack, who came out alone and was a bit puzzled, but when she went into the house to check, Gordon was already leaning there and couldn't move. Sam took a closer look and realized the bite marks on Gordon's arm. As she was contemplating in horror, she failed to notice a python coiling down from the roof behind her. Paralyzed Gordon tried to warn her with his eyes, and the quick-witted Sam immediately ran away. But Gordon was doomed to be the python's meal. Sam, with no time to accuse Jack, called others to rescue Gordon, but it was too late. Seeing this, Bill urged everyone to leave and set the huts on fire to prevent further danger. But when they went out, they found that Jack had already left alone on the raft. With Bill having burned all the huts, they couldn't build another raft and had no choice but to cross the jungle again to take a shortcut and intercept Jack. While navigating through the dark, they accidentally rolled down a hillside and fell into a pit, where they heard the sound of a lurking python. They frantically tried to escape, but Cole, being too slow, got separated from the group. Fortunately, Tran returned in time to find him. However, Tran stepped into the water and was quickly killed by the python, leaving Cole to escape alone. Bill and the others climbed out of the pit and pulled Cole, who was lagging behind, out as well, but the python was still in close pursuit. Sam grabbed a machete and chopped off the snake's head. Cole shouted excitedly, but another python appeared and dragged him away. They followed and found the python coiling Cole up a tree. Bill stabbed the python with a dagger, causing it to release Cole. Meanwhile, Jack reached the marked location of the Blood Orchid, finding his coveted immortal flower but also discovering a valley full of mating pythons. Bill and the others arrived at the same location, finding the bamboo raft. As they prepared to leave, they were stopped by Jack. Bill attempted a sneak attack but was shot by Jack. Threatened by Jack, they were forced to accompany him to the flower-picking site. Jack knocked Bill unconscious and forced Gale to tie up Cole, then made Sam cross a bridge to pick the flowers. Sam can only trembling and carefully walk on the wooden bridge and eventually got through without any danger. She stuffed the flowers into her backpack. As Sam was returning, the tree trunk collapsed, causing a rock slide, but Jack was only nervous about the backpack in Sam's arms. Sam threatened to throw the backpack down if Jack didn't lower his weapon. Unmoved, Jack fired his gun at a teammate, forcing Sam to throw the backpack to him. Just then, Bill rushed out and knocked Jack down, causing the backpack to fall and hang on the mountainside. Jack quickly knocked down the injured Bill and climbed down to reach the backpack, but in the next second he was bitten by a spider and fell into a pool of water in a moment of stiffness. Meanwhile, Sam, trying to climb ashore, got her foot entangled in branches. In her panic, she struggled and also fell down. Fortunately, the pythons were all distracted by Jack, allowing Sam to climb back up using the vines. However, a python was also attracted upwards. Gale quickly picked up an oil barrel, luring the python to bite it and spill gasoline. Bill picks up his gun and prepares to ignite the petrol, but finds that the gun is out of bullets. In a critical moment, Cole stepped forward, picked up a flare gun, and ignited the gasoline. The python fell back into the valley of injury and pain, and the next second, the snake's nest was detonated. The violent shock caused the surrounding rock walls to collapse, completely covering all the pythons. They finally escaped the nightmare by boarding the bamboo raft.